Hey guys, now this video is not for my regular subscribers, but it's actually for one person in particular, and that is, believe it or not, Conor McGregor. So I'm going to make this video straight to the point, and this video is addressed directly to Conor McGregor, the person who right now holds titles in the UFC and is going to box Floyd Mayweather. Now, I haven't known about Conor McGregor for a very long time. In fact, I actually just found out about Conor McGregor it's been about a year now. I found out about him, and I'm very impressed by his fighting capabilities and as well as the way that he interacts with media and as well gets into the minds of his opponents. He is very effective at that. And if I were to ever fight Conor McGregor or ever be on the stage with Conor McGregor, I would be pretty intimidated. But with that said, I'm going to get straight to the point, and I'm going to say that me, having not very much experience, ranging about from 145, maybe maximum 160, maybe 170, that's what I can fit on my frame. So meaning that I would be fighting about 145 to 155, around that weight. And I want to fight Conor McGregor. And I'm going to ask Conor McGregor to fight me. And I'm not going to be cocky. I'm not going to make fun of him. I'm not going to be like these other people who every time they challenge this guy, they don't challenge him with respect. They don't treat him with respect. They don't say, hey, listen, man, I recognize you being the champion, and I want to put up in the ring with you, or in the Octagon. And I'm going to ask respectively. I'm not going to be cocky. I'm not going to say anything rude or anything negative whatsoever. And even if I, let's just say, somehow get this video across to Conor McGregor, and he insults me, I'll always call you by brother. And the reason why also I want to really challenge you is because I've heard your story. I've heard why you got into the UFC, why you got into mixed martial arts. I heard the kind of relationship that you had with your dad, just the kind of situations, the struggles, why you got into mixed martial arts. And I'm not going to say from a fan point of view or whatever it is that I can relate to you, that I know you, that you're in my heart personally. But from what I heard from your struggles, they're very similar to mine. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to say right now, you know, when you said in one of your interviews there that you didn't know how to feel about your dad almost dying once, getting cancer, I'm going to say that I didn't know how to feel about my dad almost dying once. We had a house, we had a good life going on. My dad got sick and he almost died. He was like literally in coma for a long time. He had to do his business, you know, to digest and do everything out of bag. My dad almost died. My dad also got brain trauma because of that stuff. But my father was a good martial artist growing up. He got his black belts, he competed, and he was alone in his journey. And in my martial arts journey, I have been alone, not because my family doesn't want to support me, but because I'm a very difficult person to deal with. Just like you were a difficult person maybe to deal with your dad, having fights with them. I know how that is, and I know how it feels not to understand, let's just say, the relationship with my dad. And I want to say that you should look back at that and take all that back and work with your dad the best you can. Be proud of him, and don't make him proud just because of your martial arts. Make him proud because you're simply his son. Whether you're living in the gutter or you're living in a $4 million mansion. You know what I'm saying? So from a person who's lost a lot, you know what I'm saying, I can tell you that I'm proud of that success that you got. And when you say to people, you gotta recognize what I've got in here, don't talk shit, I completely understand that. And as for the people in Ireland that support you, you gotta understand that when this guy's facing opponents, don't be hard on his opponents just because he's fighting for you guys he represents. You guys, if the opponent's being noble, respectable, or he's earned his victory, treat that person with respect. Also for Nate Diaz, I'm gonna say that that's the person who probably gave you the best fight of all, was Nate Diaz. You know what I'm saying? And back to Ireland, I'm gonna say that I'm very happy that you can do that. Ireland is a place that is a place of underdogs, is a place that has been struggling since its very existence. And where I grew up, there's two kinds of people that I respect the most. First of all, my Spanish language is something that I respect, I'll always hold dear, from Iberia. And if you actually study the genetics of people in Britain, if you actually look at the ancient line, the bloodline, it didn't come from the Anglos or the people from Germany or Scandinavia. In reality, that's only like a 4% contribution. A lot of people are not going to like hearing this. In reality, your ancient ancestors, all the way back from when the Ice Age started to melt and people were able to migrate into the northern regions, it's gonna show that the very old bloodlines come from northern Iberia. So meaning that the Celts are originally Western peoples, or at least the main bloodlines that you see in the British Islands from the Celtic bloodlines, from the ancient bloodlines, actually connect to southern France and northern Iberia. Those Basque regions, Asturia, southern France, the Pyrenees, all those regions. Why? Because when the Ice Age was very heavy, it was hard to live in Europe. And places like Italy, places like Iberia, Greece, were safe zones, were a little bit more hotter, were a little bit more inhabitable. So if you're interested in all that migration stuff, you know what I'm saying? So when I study that stuff, I see these people, I see how they're all connected, but what we are different in, all of us, is in culture.
So let's take a closer look at English ethnic identity. One of the most persistent ideas about the English is that they descend from northern Europeans who made this island their home back in the so-called Dark Ages. The Anglo-Saxons. It's a potent idea. It shapes the thinking of nationalist parties and many besides. But how true is it? The traditional story is that Englishness was brought by invaders when the Roman Empire collapsed. Germanic tribes swept into the country, Angles, Saxons, Jutes. They pushed out the previous peoples of these islands, the original Britons, into what are now Wales and Scotland. On that basis, the ancestors of the English would be the Anglo-Saxons. And in the 21st century, we now have the science to discover if that is true. I'm taking a DNA test to find out about the genetic makeup of my ancestors. And I'm going to look at the results with a man who's used DNA to trace the origins of the British. Stephen Oppenheimer first explained how his research works.
There are two particular parts of our genome which are very useful for this approach. One of those parts is the Y chromosome, which only males have and is passed down the male line, and the other is mitochondrial DNA, which we all have, but is passed down the female line. So that's very neat. You've got two parts of our genome, which gives us a male line of descent, and the other gives us a female line of descent.
Well, I've had a DNA test, and what does that tell you about my origins?
Well, if we take the Y chromosome to start off with, which you get from your father, it originates in northern Spain, in the Basque country, during the Ice Age, which was 18,000 years ago. And you can see, and this is actually a map showing the distribution of the type that you have.
Yeah.
And it's extremely common along the Atlantic coast. In fact, it's the commonest single type. And it arrives in Britain just under 10,000 years ago.
Right. Well, you've told me about one average strand. Well, what about the other one?
That's just as average.
Oh.
In fact, it's very similar in its prehistory.
Okay.
And again, the distribution of this is very similar to your Y chromosome.
Right.
The origin is in northern Spain, in the Basque Country, and it moves up the Atlantic coast into Britain. It arrives rather similarly to your Y chromosome just under 10,000 years ago.
Well, so you're basically telling me I'm pretty average.
Mr. Average. But that's a very good illustration that a lot of people will have that sort of picture.
Yes, and the picture is quite a surprising one. We're starting in northern Spain, and we were up here. What's going on here?
The ice started melting about 15,500 years ago, and quite a few people moved up into northern Europe, although it was still pretty cold, from refuges along the north coast of the Mediterranean. And for Western Europe, the main refuge was in the Basque Country.
So this is nothing like the story of Anglo-Saxon England and its invasion. It's much older.
Yes, and the Anglo-Saxon contribution, in my analysis, is only 5% for the whole of England.
5% contribution of the Anglo-Saxons to the supposed English.
That's right. And the English are much closer to the Welsh, the Irish, the Cornish, and the Scottish than they are to any other continental population. And this idea of the English coming in as a race, or the Anglo-Saxons coming in as a race, really just doesn't hold up in the genetic view.
But what I'm going to say, though, is that I respect the people of Ireland, and not just the people of Ireland, but their descendants. Because you see here, I speak good English, but my original language is Spanish. And I grew up here in this North American system, these North American countries. And some of the best, most strongest people, culture-wise, some of the most close people I have met, some of the most. Because I'm going to say that the other people that I have met that are very close cultured are Native Americans. These people have been through a lot of struggles, and they're very powerful. And they also get along very well with Irish people. And Irish people are some of the strongest people we have here in North America. These people remember their heritage, they remember their culture, they fight for their own, they're loyal to family, they're loyal. But of course, every culture has their problems. Like you see in Spanish culture, Irish culture, any culture, there's always those overly aggressive people that don't represent their culture well. And I'm going to say, for all the rudeness or for all the cockiness that people say that you have, I'm going to say that you earn that right. And you're actually selling the UFC more than anyone has ever sold it. Now, a lot of people are not going to like this, especially in today's world, but whatever. I'm a Christian person, and as a Christian person, I don't really like the super cocky approach, slamming down your opponent. But I'm going to say that for your style, I'm not going to blame it or say anything against it, because you've earned that right. So as a Christian, I may choose not to be like that, but it doesn't mean that you have not earned that right in your sport, and your boss allows it so that you can be like that, have that persona, and it's selling the sport very well. And I respect you for that, and that's why I'll never insult you. Now, let's just say, with all that aside, I'm a person that can insult back, I'm a person that can make fun of people back. I can be very rude, I can be very smirk, I can be very cocky, I can be very vindictive, I can be very hurtful. You know what I'm saying? I can be very playful, very funny. But just right here, what I'm telling you right now, with all that aside, I want to fight you. And it doesn't have to be for money. As long as, let's just say, my family can see it, or let's just say my friend, show it on TV, or show it maybe publicly. That will be my greatest honor for my father, for me, personally, for me. My dad is a big contribution, my family, but for me mainly. And for free. I'll fight you for free. I'll pay for my own plane ticket. I'll deal with the whole border issues or wherever you are. And I'll come down and I'll fight you. Or you can come down to my region and you can fight me. Now, I'm not going to give you my name. I'm not going to give you any details unless you actually say, yes, I'll fight this man. And please give me a year to prepare, because I'm literally like, I got no fighting experience, and you're going to laugh at this. you're gonna laugh at this, you're gonna kind of make fun of me, but I got no fighting experience besides street fighting, besides getting bullied, besides getting like a 3-on-1, you know, getting rushed, getting jumped and stuff like that. You know, I know what it feels like to get hit. I know what it feels like to have people who are bigger than me, you know what I'm saying, just like challenge me, and I have to fight them and take their blows, take their knees, take their elbows, just the most ridiculous things when I'm unprepared. But one thing I've noticed since wrestling, just to say, just with my friends since I was 12, I was always strong for my size. I was always strong for my age. My friends would always take pride because they would always be able to throw me around. But when they had like 40, 50 pounds on me, and maybe like they were taller, usually older than me, and they took pride in that. Because I would give them such a struggle to take me down, to choke me out, I would put them out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I'm strong. I know that I can take a blow. I don't just think, I know. And if I was given the opportunity to fight someone, anybody that's my size, you know, my capabilities with, well, not at least better than me, but at least my weight, I know that I will be able to go all the way and even knock them out and defeat them. Now, I'm not going to be cocky and foresee any future. You are the champion, and if I do fight you, you would take part of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in there to kill each other. So in the competitive aspect, so be it. And I'm willing to pound all the way to the end. And with that, I will gain victory if you're not careful. That's all I can say in my most cockiest bloody words. I don't just think. I believe and I know that I'm tough enough to hold my own and even win against a person like you or anyone in the 155 or the 145 division in the UFC. If it's not by kicks, if it's not by wrestling, if it's not by my kicks, I'll make it, even if I have to do it 100% with my heart. But I'll find a way, because I know that in my heart, one thing that you can say about Wise Warrior's Path and my name, even though that wasn't the intention of my YouTube channel, is that I am a warrior in the heart and in the mind. When I hear you talk about, I can't talk to anyone, because everybody wants to talk about this, wants to talk about that. This is what you said in one of your interviews. But I want to talk about the human anatomy. I want to talk about fighting. I want to talk about bettering myself. Something along those lines. Don't quote me exactly on that, but yes, I'm saying stuff that you have said. This is, obviously you're advertising yourself and you're getting the response. You know what I'm saying? That is a good, I like that. What I'm saying, and I like that, and I'm the same way. I have the same philosophy. You know, I've always had trouble talking to people because I'm always, I guess you should say, militaristic. I'm always talking about fighting and proving myself. You know what I'm saying? Not picking on people or struggling against people, always having to defeat people. But I do got a very militaristic mindset that is very competitive. But I'm also going to say that I understand the financial situation. If, let's just say, people say that you were on welfare and now you're I'm not going to make fun of you on that. There's plenty of people that were on the bottom. I got problems with learning, with communication. And I overcome those problems, man. I'm telling you, like, there's a reason why I haven't been practicing martial arts, because I've been practicing my mind, bettering myself. If you would have seen me a few years ago, I wasn't a recognizable person. I've had my issues, depression, things like that. I've had them. And just to be honest, I don't care if other people are going to take this, and I don't care if this is used against me in the future, but I've had my issues, my depression, my down moments. I've had my moments where I've had a lack of motivation. It's kind of funny, even though I've been filming for years, I still got a camera that doesn't hold that much battery. So back to what I was saying, like, when the interview that really made me want to fight you the most was A Day Out with Conor McGregor in Dublin. I don't know if I got the title right, but it was like a 1 hour interview where you were talking to one of these popular voices that on YouTube for the UFC or MMA and stuff like that, and you're just talking about your history, the relationship with your dad, and also just other documentaries, and just talking about your life story. And what I liked about these is that you weren't trying to be cocky, you weren't trying to be flashy. What I really liked about you is that you were just being yourself. And that's really what attracted me about you the most, and that's what attracted most people about you the most. I know that that's what it is. It's not just the Irish and the yeah man. No, it's this is who you are, and that's what I respect. But I'm telling you, like, never be ashamed from starting from the bottom. You know what I'm saying? That's even more reason to be proud of yourself. But like I was saying, like, I've had things that have restricted me. I've had no choice. Like, this is not a choice. This is not just I can go get a plumbing career type of deal. I've had issues that they're not just issues. They're not things that I've chose to put on myself. They're things that I've grown up with, and I'm not right now inclined to really talk about them. But I'm telling you that I've had my setbacks. I've had things that have seriously even impaired me from being a regular person, from being able to function. And I'm telling you that when I heard your story in particular, and your dad, and it's just I can relate to it personally. And I think that in a way inspired me. I've always been a person that I've had no choice but to motivate myself. I had no choice. In my life, I've been bullied. Like I said, I've been beat up. I've been rushed. I know what it feels like to be scared. I know what it feels like to be so fucking scared in my life, be so frightened that I can't be scared anymore. I've been backed up in so many corners that I just can't be scared. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if people have ever, I know people know this. I know people know this feeling. I know they know this feeling. It's just the majority of them don't know this feeling, but a lot of you know what I'm talking about. It's when you're backed up to a point where you just can't put your hands over your head anymore, and you gotta fight. I know what it feels like to get ridiculed to the point where you almost want to kill yourself. I know what it feels like to the point where you can't think about failure anymore, because if you think about failure, it's gonna crush you. So the only thing that you can do is launch forward. And this is why I think that I'd be different from most of your opponents. And for me, when I heard you wanted to fight Mayweather, I said there's a possibility for sure. I saw people giving you 5%, 10%, 15% maximum. I gave you 25%. And that's just to kind of sell it off. But in reality, in my mind, I think like about 40%. But that is Floyd Mayweather's game, and you got a lot to hustle. Don't be too cocky with that guy. And in boxing, people at 45, oh Jesus, they come back. They put up a fight. I don't know about Malignaggi. But people in boxing come back. I'm telling you, it's not like the UFC. They come back. But yeah, I think you got a chance. You got a high chance. And I'm telling you, just like you got a chance there, it's you know what I'm saying, if you can visualize it and you got the courage to speak it, it will happen. Well, I'm here right now, and I'm telling you, Conor McGregor, I want to fight you. I think that I got a chance. I don't just think that I got a chance. I know I got a chance. The only thing is, what I'm not sure about is whether you're going to listen to this or not. Whether you're going to take me seriously, whether you're going to laugh at me. I hope not. This is for free. You don't have to pay one dime. I'll pay for my own ticket. For Christ's sakes, if I don't go, I'll find the way to get there, and I'll fight you. You know what I'm saying? Give me a year to prepare, or what at least someone can do maybe is look at my little martial arts videos, me hitting this bag right here with all I got, this like little soft bag, and maybe train me. Maybe give me some material, some some pads or I don't know. Give me some sparring partners. Give me a gym that I can go to. I'll pay for the bloody gym. At least give me some sparring partners. I'll pay for it. You know, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for any money, for anything. This is pride right here. I want to prove something right here. So there's my far-fetched request. Will you accept it? Conor McGregor? Let's do it. Come on. I think I got a little bit of a personality as well. It's not that I'm crazy enough. I think I'm sure enough. Okay, it's crazy enough too. What do you say? Yes or no? Because this is the most respectable request to a fight that you have possibly ever gotten in your professional career in the UFC. Will you accept? And also PS to that, I'll fight Paulie Malignaggi too. I do mixed martial arts and all that stuff, but just like you, boxing's always been dear to my heart. And you take on Floyd Mayweather, and you can defeat Paulie Malignaggi, but I want to fight Paulie Malignaggi just because he's a loudmouth. And even though you've been kind of loud, I want to give you all the respect in the world because you earned it. And also, one thing also, just to end this, and I mentioned this, Nate Diaz. I know you guys hate each other, but I'm telling you, you really acknowledge that fight. I'm just saying, like, just acknowledge it. I'm sorry, I don't know if this is sensitive to you, or I don't know what the fuck to say here. I'm just a man here. Acknowledge it. It's a damn good fight. Acknowledge that guy, man. Like help that guy. Like give that guy a good position. That's what I would say to Dana White or something. Like Nate Diaz and his brother. I think that they're, I wouldn't say underappreciated. I would say, yeah, a little bit underappreciated. You know what I'm saying? I say that these guys, these brothers, truly deserve like a $2 million bonus before they retired. I think that these guys were really good. Honestly, I would say that Nate Diaz kind of got his brain rattled a little bit too much, but they deserve like $1 million each, just for being outstanding fighters, for going into so many weight classes and just putting up, like, these people put up with the most hardcore and put up and had a huge heart. I don't just mean like cocky and being able to just get into the mind of, no, I mean like they actually like put up a fight. This is aside from Conor McGregor, I guess, but I'm just saying, like, these like I don't know, like they're not my most favorite characters from personality, but actually when it comes to fighting personality, they're amazing. Amazing. These guys are superhuman, for Christ's sakes. These guys can take a hit. But I would say for Nate Diaz, when I say he's losing his brains, I mean, like, I'm not trying to make fun of him. I mean, like, don't get hit anymore, dude. Like, seriously, like fuck, like, don't get hit anymore, man. Stop getting hit, basically. Like, make sure that's part of your strategy is not getting hit. Like focus just on your jiu-jitsu, like get more your kicks in, work on your reach in different ways, but stop getting hit, man. You're a good personality. You guys deserve to go to the Hall of Fame. Conor McGregor, he surely made it in the Hall of Fame with the short time that he's been there. He impressed, and he brought Ireland out of demoralization. And I would say that Ireland, like, I've looked at some of their bare knuckle boxing. Fuck. These guys got chins, man. Like heads. These guys can take punch, for fuck's sakes. I'm telling you, these guys can take a punch. But you're gonna notice those Mexicans that you've been fighting out in that UFC. Those Mexicans are pretty tough too. Those Latinos, those Brazilians, I'm telling you. I think some of the toughest people right now in the UFC, some of those white American mofos, those North American guys, white North American, typical British, Western European. But the other side of them, African Americans, very powerful. That there's just not enough, let's just say, African Americans in the UFC. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say anything. John Jones, amazing. John Cormier, but in the light divisions. But I'm going to say there's some of the strongest hearts I've seen are those Latinos. Ireland, underdog, yeah. But look at those Latinos, man. Think about how many of those people like have backgrounds that maybe they're not so proud of, right? Like just backgrounds that are like, maybe some of them, their families were illegal, maybe they were poor, maybe they came from like refugees, like literally like war-torn, like these people come from like gutters sometimes, right? Like Latin America is beautiful, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. But there's areas out there that are just gutters, right? And there's people that like come, and also Latinos that are from like LA and the United States as well. These people, they're very tough. I'm gonna tell you, they're tough. And also, if you look at the average Latino, they're short, they're smaller, they're pretty tough, man. They're tough. They hold their own. I'd say that those are underdogs as well. That's why, like when I look at Nate Diaz and stuff like that, and Nate Diaz, I say that they're pretty. They represent Latinos pretty well. It's just that they don't got like a flag that they hold, right? You know, they don't go Mexico, you know. But Conor McGregor, I think he really has his advantage, and also a big pride is the ability to have Ireland behind him, and as well the people here that are also looking for pride. You know what I'm saying? In the North American system, a lot of those Irish people that I was talking about that, you know, have been looking for a home, been looking for something to relate to, something to almost give them more courage. And I think that Conor McGregor went just beyond Ireland. I think he went. He restored a pride that people have been looking for a long time in the North American culture, and I sure took to that pride as well. And by the way, I took my genetic tests. Guess how much percentage Irish I am? I'm 6% Irish. 6% Irish. I guess maybe I am crazy enough to fight Conor McGregor. But hey, check this out. Randy Couture didn't start MMA until he was like 30, didn't he? Am I wrong? Let's do it.